everyone. Hope everybody's well this afternoon. Thank you all for joining us. So we're going to put some visuals to today's class. So we'll start with the slideshow, I think, and then after that we'll show some pictures and videos of Parikrama. And by their mercy today we have the 5 great personalities who grant residence into or entrance into Vrindavan. So if you have some desire in your heart to go to Vrindavan, you pray to these 5 personalities. So first we have Giriraj Govardhan and Radhakund and Shamakund with him. So Giriraj is the first personality. And then next to him is Vrinda Devi with her parrots. She has an army of I think 100,000 parrots that assist her in Radha and Krishna's pastimes. She's the grand choreographer of Vrindavan. She stages all the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. So she's the second person. No particular order, but she's the second personality here. Then we have the dust of Vrindavan, because everything in Vrindavan is conscious. So the dust of Vrindavan grants you entrance into Vrindavan. And then we have Gopeshwar Mahadev. By his name we can understand that is Lord Shiva, in a very special form as the guardian of Vrindavan. And he dresses as a gopi, and he guards the rasa dance in particular in the evenings, but also the land of Vrindavan. And then in the cup on the far left is Yamuna Devi. That's Yamuna water. Yamuna Devi is the 5th personality. So today you can offer your prayers to them that they will grant you their mercy, so that you can also have darshan of Shri Vrindavan. Okay. So this we decided to call today's class Sharing the Mercy, because actually everything is mercy in spiritual life. But it's interesting, these 3 topics, what ties them together? What particular mercy? So we have the history of Gajendra the elephant, and that history is very important in the Kartik month. It's recommended reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. And we have the distribution of Srila Prabhupada's books, because yesterday actually started the December book marathon, right, when devotees make an extra effort to distribute Srila Prabhupada's books. The distribution goes on all the time, actually as the primary, it's a primary activity of ISKCON. Srila Prabhupada's desire was that the book distribution actually be the central focus of everything that we do. But in particular, we put our effort into the December book marathon. Devotees, of course, have more time, and we also find the public in a very receptive mood. Right? December's a good time to go out. People are in good spirits, and they're also in, we could say, even a more spiritual consciousness. They're thinking about the holidays, about God, about His appearance. So we make more of an effort in this December book marathon. And Parikrama, visiting the holy places. So this is a scene from Parikrama in Vrindavan. What ties them all together? So the common theme of all of these is surrender, because this is an essential component of the pastime, of book distribution, and of going on Parikrama, right? And we'll see how. So this is how we came up with the topic for today. So let's go to the first of these discussions, and that is on Gajendra the elephant. So so we'll go through the history briefly of Gajendra. He was, in his past life, a great king. And he was cursed. We could say it wasn't really his fault. But we could also say that cursing was kind of like the crime of previous ages. Right? You could kind of get cursed for doing a lot of things inadvertently. So he was simply meditating on the Lord, right? This king Indradumna. And when Sage Agastya came by and wanted water, or at least that the king show him some respect, because when a saintly person comes, you get up, you give him a seat, you make him comfortable. At least the Bhagavatam says you offer some sweet words, some water, even that's enough. But when you're absorbed in meditation on the Lord, how are you going to be aware of somebody being there? So just for that, the king was cursed. Right? The sage felt that he was behaving a bit dull. So he cursed him that he'd be an elephant, a dull animal. So it's also said about spiritual life and everything that we do for Krishna, that there's no loss or diminution, right? That's what Krishna promises. That whatever you do for him, it's never lost. So when Gajendra, now born as an elephant, now living in a celestial part of the universe, was in a quite a severe state of danger, right? While he was in the water with his family, a crocodile grabbed his leg, and they had a little bit of a tug of war. But this was no ordinary crocodile, so he couldn't get free. And the crocodile's in the water, so the crocodile's getting strength, it's got water, it's got food, but he's on the land, and it went on for many, many years. And all his family members, all they could do was cry. And they couldn't help him. So in those moments, he gets that benediction because of all the services rendered to the Lord. He remembers. He remembers prayers. Right? And he starts offering these very, very advanced prayers for an elephant. The Lord never forgets. Right? From the heart, he can inspire us. He says in Bhagavad Gita, I give knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. If you want to forget him, he'll facilitate that. If you want to remember him, or in the case of the king, he was sincere, right? He made a mistake. When he really needed to remember the Lord came. Or at least the Lord gave him remembrance of the prayers, and then he responded to the prayers by coming. Right? So these prayers are in the 8th canto in chapter 3. And it's very deep realizations, right? It's very deep realizations that this elephant is thinking, I spent all my time and energy, with these family members, on these family members, and when I really need them, nobody can do anything to help me. Nobody could save me from this crocodile. Everybody could just stand there quite upset. And this is the state of everybody in this material world. When we're in all of us will have to face the ultimate danger alone in the end, right? No matter how many family members or friends are with us. But even throughout life, there are many moments, we've all been through it, where nobody can or nobody will help us, right? The difference, though, is that for us, we think that we're alone, right? And it's quite a miserable feeling. But Gajendra was aware there is someone, not even up there, within him and within everything. Gajendra was aware that there is a supreme force behind everything, and he starts praying to this force. He starts praising the attributes of this force, but knowing that this force is a person, and this is the important thing. Right? Because you can pray to this person, but if it's just a force, and this is the reason why people have such difficulty accepting, you have someone to pray to, it's because you can't really identify with just a light or just an energy that's everywhere. It's kind of contributed to why people sort of don't feel that there's someone with them anymore, because they haven't been given that understanding, we could say, that there is an actual person with you. You can actually relate to this person, and they can actually come and save you if you want. Right? So Gajendra, because of his advancement as a devotee in his previous life, he had that understanding, that sense that even though this person is everywhere, he is also one personality I'm praying to at the same time. Right? He can be one person in front of me, right? Someone I can offer prayers to, someone I can relate to, someone who can be there for me, and yet he can also be everywhere at the same time, because God can be that powerful. So he prays to him in all these attributes also, as the creator and so on, and he surrenders completely, and this is the point of those prayers. It's helping us to firstly understand our position of danger, like Gajendra's, right? It's helping us understand the supreme position of God, because why should you surrender to him? Gajendra tells you why, right? He gives you all the attributes through many verses as to why you should surrender to this person in particular. And then in the end, he surrenders, right? So this is the sequence, and how nicely it carries us through from the beginning. And it's very interesting that he also comes to the point, very advanced realization of regretting that he's praying to the Lord for something. Because he also understands from his past life that if you want to develop a relationship with God, as much as any relationship in this world, actually, you want that relationship to be selfless. You don't want anything from the person. Right? Everyone has that experience that when someone wants something from you and that's the only time they want to know you, it's a little uncomfortable, right? We can imagine how that feels for God. Every day, all day, everybody's only approaching him for stuff when they want. And Gajendra is like, gosh, I'm in that category, you know? He's praising those who don't. He starts by, in one of the verses, by praising those who don't approach God for things, right? There are these souls, he says, that they just love you and they just praise you and they interact with you because of that. But I'm not one of them. And he's apologetic about it. And he says, I'm in danger now and I need you. I'm sorry, but like, you know, this is what I'm doing. So again, he's taking the position of all of us. That currently, this is our situation. We didn't have that relationship with God. So currently, we're just kind of like, you know, we're trying to develop it. And in the meantime, we may be asking for things. But at least we're approaching him directly. We're approaching Krishna directly, right? It's your first step. And the more you make progress towards developing your relationship with him, the less and less you'll have things to ask of him. And the more your relationship with him will become selfless. And it comes to the point where Krishna actually does heed his prayers and he appears. And when he does appear, Gajendra doesn't ask for anything. Gajendra doesn't ask for anything. The Lord appears on the back of his carrier, Garuda, and all Gajendra does, even though he's in very great pain, he lifts up a lotus flower from the water. Imagine, he's dying, and he's being killed by a crocodile, and he was praying to be saved. But as soon as he sees Krishna, he's not like, kill the crocodile! Right? He lifts up the lotus flower and he offers it to Krishna. That's that very famous picture. And he's leaving it to the Lord. Whatever you want to do with me now, you know, I've seen you, right? This is his surrender. So there's a very nice verse in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam that says, my dear Lord, one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him, just waiting, not forcing, not demanding, not even praying, just waiting. All the while patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds, right? Whatever, Gajendra knows this has come to him for whatever reason, right? He was praying, now he's just like, let me suffer, it's okay. But you know, I brought it upon myself anyway. Whatever it is, I'll deal with it. But he's making the effort, despite that suffering, to offer his respectful obeisances still, right? He can't exactly bow down, but he at least offers his respects in some way with that flower. But we can still offer our respects to God, we can still offer our services to God. So offering your respectful obeisances, respectful obeisances with his heart, body and words. So that is that selfless offering, right? Everything. Not that I hold back something and I give you something. You want to develop a selfless relationship with Krishna because he's doing everything selflessly for you anyway. You don't acknowledge him, but he gives you the sunlight and he gives you the earth beneath your feet and he gives you everything basically. Right? We don't earn any of that. We think we do, but we don't. Right? Everything is being done on his side selflessly and on our side selfishly. So when we start to actually appreciate everything that he's doing for us and we just tolerate the suffering and we carry on just serving him and we don't stop and ask, well, why am I suffering? Right? It is an advanced level, but it's something we want to get to. Right? If we carry on doing this, we become eligible for liberation. And look at the words. It has become his rightful claim. There's no doubt about it. A claim is something that is non-refutable. You don't even have to think about what's going to happen to me at the end of this life. There's no doubt in your mind. If you just do this, you just patiently suffer what you have to go through, but you carry on serving Krishna without any expectation, with just wanting to please him, liberation is guaranteed for you. There is no other there is no other promise that can be made to this degree. Right? Not in any other religion, not in any other scripture. It is just this. And Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport to this verse that it's like you have the legitimate son of a father, right? Who has the will has been written in his name. All he needs to do is stay alive to get the property. He doesn't have to do anything else. There's nothing else he needs to do. The property is his, right? For whatever reason, he's the son. His father has written that it's him. So in the same way, we just need to stay alive in our spiritual practices. Just keep it up, right? Keep up the level, improve it if we can, but just keep that, it's guaranteed. So what happened to Gajendra? Because of his surrender, he was liberated. So the next picture, it's a little bit busy, so we'll try and explain what's happening there. So we can see Lord Vishnu in the middle, right? He's come on his carrier, Garuda. And on one side, we see the impression of an elephant, but we also see a personality who looks a lot like Lord Vishnu. So that's actually the liberated form of Gajendra. So when the Lord appeared, he pulled Gajendra out of the water. He killed the crocodile, right? And the crocodile wasn't an ordinary crocodile. He was also a cursed personality. We can see him being relieved of his crocodile form. That's why the Lord specifically killed him, so that he would be free. He was actually the king of the Gandharvas, their celestial musicians. So he accidentally pulled on the leg of a saint in the water. So just be careful when you're going swimming in summer. And the saint was not in a good mood, so he cursed him that he'd become a crocodile, a creature of the water. The curses are usually related to something that the person has done. So he was also fortunate to be liberated by the Lord. So he went, now the difference with him, he was liberated of his crocodile body, but he wasn't liberated of this world, right? He still had some services to do. So he went back to being a musician in the heavenly planets, which are still in this world. But Gajendra had rendered service to the Lord, right? He had offered his respects, despite his respectful obeisances, his prayers, which are a form of devotional service, despite all of his sufferings. And he did so without expectation of reward. So he got liberation out of this world. He got to the spiritual world. So what you're seeing is one type of liberation. So there's five types. Devotees don't consider the type of merging into the light, because that's not real liberation. But one of the types of liberation you can get is getting a form like the Lord. So he got a form like the Lord, same color, same beautiful features, 4 arms, and he could give up his elephant body, and that was the end of all his sufferings. Okay, so this very nice pastime, it illustrates, right, surrender to Krishna. So what does this have to do with book distribution? So let's see. Book distribution is an act of surrender, and we'll see how. It was something that was extremely important to not just Srila Prabhupada, but also to his spiritual master. That the first instruction that his spiritual master gave him was that you preach in the Western countries. Can you imagine? He just offers his respects, he gets up, he says, you're a nice educated young man, you should preach in the West. Right? So literally cutting to the chase. Right? This is your mission. And with time, Srila Prabhupada was instructed by his spiritual master, in particular what to do in this preaching, to print books. The central focus of Srila Prabhupada's mission as given by his spiritual master was print books. And his spiritual master is our great-grandfather, spiritual master. So his mission is our mission as well. So Prabhupada put a lot of effort into printing. It was quite a struggle for him because he was doing everything alone. He didn't have any disciples in India. He didn't have any family members to support him in India. He lost his businesses. He didn't even have money. Right? Everything that he did, everything that he printed was on his own. It was a struggle to do everything, even to get the paper, particularly because in that time there was war raging on, World War II. But still he managed to print out his Back to God. He started and printed out his Back to God magazines, and he printed out at least 3 volumes of Vishwamad Bhagavatam set, and he was armed with that when he went to the West. So it's not for nothing that Srila Prabhupada actually went to the West without any money. Right? We wouldn't consider $40 a lot of money to go spend in another country. Right? So he had no money practically. He had no assistance, not in India and not in the West either. And he didn't have any, we think, any significant resources. Right? He had his books, he had cereal and, his books and cereal, dry cereal. He thought there'd only be meat in America, so he was carrying cereal. He thought maybe potatoes, but He's going to survive on cereal. So the point is that even in this day and age, when it's a little easier, I think, to get resources, we might be extremely surprised about why he was so successful with so little. But the importance is what he actually had with him. Materially, it may have seemed like little, but he had complete faith in his spiritual master, unshakable faith in what his guru told him to do. To preach in the West, right? To print books, right? To make sure that the holy name was propagated. Unshakable faith. He had the holy name itself, right? Prabhupada had love for the holy name. He had completely attentive, pure chanting of the holy name. And he also had the books. He had 3 volumes of Srimad Bhagavatam, and of course all of the Vedic knowledge behind him. That was enough to conquer the world, because that's what he did. So in the beginning, Srila Prabhupada was doing everything single-handedly. He was typing out the books, right? He was even distributing them, of course, to all his guests. And eventually, as his disciples became more proficient, they started assisting him. To edit the literature, to get it printed, to distribute it, of course. And then they were making deals with printing companies, but then the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust was established, and this is our publishing arm of ISKCON that publishes Srila Prabhupada's books till today. And it was amazing how much of literature they were putting out to please Srila Prabhupada, because all his guidance and instructions was revolving around this instruction to get that message out through the books. Because this transcendental literature is Krishna. Long after our presence is, not felt so much with people, they may even eventually forget the words of what they've heard us say or chant, but the book will be with them. Right? Krishna will be with them in that form. Srila Prabhupada will be with them in that form. His mercy is coming in those books, and this is what has changed so many lives. This is how ISKCON actually made its impact across the world. Right? It was literally through the power of these spiritual literatures. So some of Srila Prabhupada's quotes to emphasize these points. This actually explains quite clearly what the temple or the institute is in ISKCON. We may often see it as focused around the worship, because this is what we used to, especially if you're coming from a background of, like you're coming from an Eastern background, even Western background, churches, mosques, they're usually for some purpose of congregating and praying. But look at how Prabhupada defines what the temple is. It's a base from which we send out soldiers to fight with Maya. Right? It's a base for preparing those books and getting them out there. That's the most important thing. All other activities go around the distribution of books, not the other way around. Even the worship, everything is secondary to distributing books. Srila Prabhupada wanted that the books go out like bombs are dropped. Of course, these are bombs with very good effects. They'll destroy your material tendencies, not your life. So this quote is very interesting, because this is demonstrating the selflessness of book distribution, right? Because someone who is going out is not going out there for any other purpose than trying to help other people back to their original state of happiness, right? Service to God. And eventually, like Gajendra, liberation. Maybe in the book marathon there'll be a little bit of it's not even an incentive, just maybe for the fun of it, there's points and there's a bit of, there's some prizes. But what drives a book distributor is getting the message of God into the hands of people so that they can contemplate on it and see that there is an alternative to how they've been living, to what the world has been telling them, right? To what reality is, to what is beyond this life. Because currently we only have not even one side of it, and we have no idea what comes after death. Isn't it terrifying? All we're being taught about is what we're supposed to do within this life. And even in this life, there's no guarantees. Right? They tell you get an education. It's not a bad thing. I'm not slamming education. But if you think about it, right, you're told get an education, you'll get a job. But it's not even guaranteed. Then they're like, okay, have a family life, you'll be happy. But that's not even guaranteed. Right? They tell you that if you furnish your house in a certain way, you'll be satisfied. And then you're like, after a few months, I hate this color, I want to change this. There's nothing that we will ever be satisfied with in this world. And they cannot tell you what will actually satisfy you. And they want you to be so distracted with all these things. Before you know it, the moment of death is there. You spend, these days it's not even 80 years, right? We're lucky even if you get there. But you spend all that time, right, basically being unhappy and dissatisfied with everything. Then it's over and you have the whole of eternity stretching in front of you, and you have no idea where you're going or what's going to happen. These books are helping you to get a clue. It's so important to that it's like what Sri Prabhupada said, the highest welfare work. It's the best social activity you can do for anybody, right? To help them with eternity, not just now. Right? They always say, don't teach somebody, don't give someone a fish, teach them to fish, something like that, right? I'm not encouraging anyone to fish either. But rather than just teaching somebody how they can be happy now, it's also how to save their eternal soul from wherever it's going to end up being, right? And that's far more important, because it's dangerous. The most dangerous type of fear in Bhagavad Gita is hinted at, that we can fall from the human form of life, right? We can fall into the animal species or lower. And then it's a hard climb back. These books are actually saving humanity from that kind of disaster, and this is how essential that knowledge is. And more so than just saving us from a very terrible consequence, it's delivering us into the highest state of being, this eternal life, that without that knowledge that Srila Prabhupada brought us, we would have no idea about. We'd have no idea that what the soul is always craving, right, which is eternal happiness, eternal knowledge, eternal eternity, knowledge, bliss. The soul is basically just craving eternity. It doesn't want things to end. It doesn't want to die. That eternal life is actually possible. And these books are describing in detail what that eternal life is, right, and how to achieve it. So again, the devotee is motivated by that compassion to be able to deliver that knowledge. Right? That's what's going into every book. It's not about making a sale. Right? It's not like in the material world, like we're just trying to make as many sales as possible. There may be some financial benefit to the temple, but the benefit was never focused on just creating an income. The benefit was how to make sure that these books deliver people from the worst kind of scenario. And in that regard, Prabhupada is quoting Prahlad Maharaj. Because there was a tendency in the previous ages that people would go off to meditate in the forest, right? Everybody has heard about that, yogis that are meditating in the Himalayas. It's usually the most dominant theme when everyone thinks about Hinduism, like some meditating yogi somewhere. So it's not untrue, right? Yogis do meditate in the Himalayas. We've actually seen them. It's quite amazing. Everywhere. Usually their ashrams are on the banks of rivers for the fact that everyone needs water to, especially for your pujas and for your offerings. But in the Himalayas there's a lot of water sources there, of course. But they're the real deal. Like, it's freezing cold all around, and these guys are just walking around like it's a summer's day. So they do exist. But the difference is that they're working on their own liberation, their own salvation. Prahlad Maharaj says, right, we remember who Prahlad Maharaj is, right? He is the saintly child who had a demon for a father. Right? His father was Hiranyakashipu. His father could not tolerate the fact that his son was a devotee of the Lord, and the father tried to repeatedly kill his own son. Right? This is standard operating procedure for a demon. And the Lord gave him chances, gave this demon a chance, but then eventually when he was just not like learning his lesson, and he was actually he was directly now going to try and kill this child. The Lord appears as Lord Nrsingadev. And we just chanted the mantras for Lord Nrsingadev now for his protection, like how he protected Prahlad Maharaj. So at the end, when Prahlad Maharaj has been saved, Hiranyakashipu has been killed, and the Lord is blessing Prahlad Maharaj, then Prahlad Maharaj actually says, he's not interested in his own salvation, because we could do that. We've been given everything. We could just chant at home. We can read at home. We'll make that spiritual advancement. But what about everybody else? Everyone that's suffering out there, right? Prahlad Maharaj is only focused on these people, right? Prabhupada said that's a Vaishnava. He's not interested only in his own liberation. That's guaranteed. We already discussed that. We're just going to carry on tolerating our difficulties and offering our respects to Krishna. What about everybody else? We're not going to feel happy to go back without, as our spiritual teachers say, without taking everybody else back with us. So in that spirit, book distribution is there, because how else can you get your message across, right, that widely? We're not all speakers. We're not all, able to draw in stadiums full of people. But you can put out as many books as possible, and you can get the same effect. Yes, and then the benefits of book distribution for oneself, it pleases Srila Prabhupada so much, and Krishna will bless you. What else do you need? You get the blessings of Srila Prabhupada, you can get the blessings of Krishna. Srila Prabhupada is the authority on Krishna. If he tells you that Krishna is going to bless you, Krishna is going to bless you. This is not a point you need to debate about or question. This is clear. So if you want a surefire way, it's through this. So what's Krishna's words about it? Okay, we'll come to that. I think that point will be in the next slide then. But Krishna also has a say in this, how he blesses us. So we'll discuss that in the next slide. But basically, book distribution is our chance to be a part of Lord Chaitanya's preaching. Lord Chaitanya is still preaching up to now. This much we have no doubt about. He has been seen in different places, right? In different Sankirtans since he appeared to leave the world 500 years ago. And he was certainly with Srila Prabhupada when he was establishing this ISKCON movement. And he's with every devotee who is sincerely trying to spread the holy names, because this is what he wanted. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted that his holy name be preached in every town and village. So if someone is carrying out that instruction of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's, this is certainly going to please him infinitely. As well as the previous acharyas, they put so much of effort. The 6 Goswamis, the second generation that came after them, Narottam Das Thakur, Shamananda Pandit, Srinivasacharya, the other teachers, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan, as well as the spiritual masters who have imbibed those teachings, who have mastered those teachings, Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, Srila Gaura Das Babaji Maharaj, the pioneers of spreading these teachings to all of us, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. There's a lot of blessings. Right? All their literatures have come through in Srila Prabhupada's writing. Right? It's a surefire way to please them by distributing those writings. And although a lot of devotees do prefer to go out into the streets, they go out into different public places. But book distribution can be facilitated in other ways. One can give Lakshmi towards it, right? Some sponsorship, so that the books can be distributed in one's name or distributed in some way. When it was COVID time, we were doing little telethons. We were phoning around and selling books like that and then posting them out. And then books can be placed as well in libraries, schools, colleges, whatever your imagination, right, inspires you to be able to do. The important thing is that you participate in these modern day pastimes of the Lord. And then you get that benefit from the Lord. Where he says at the bottom that one is the most dear to him. Right? Where else, which other scripture do we have a quote from God himself explaining what makes one dear to him? Not just dear, the most dear. Right? Bhagavad Gita. There is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear. Okay? The secret to pleasing Krishna. And the point about surrender, when you're going out there and distributing books, sometimes it does feel like death. I'm joking. But it's just you and Krishna. There's nobody else. You have to surrender to him. You want that book to go out for the sake of that soul, and you can just pray to Krishna that that person will take that opportunity. Right? A lot of devotees take risks as well. We don't have it so bad here. Right? There is some risk, we know. But some devotees are preaching in countries where they could be imprisoned for distributing books. Right? Where they could be imprisoned for even just bringing the books into the country. Devotees are preaching in war-torn situations. They're preaching in jungles. They're preaching where you can only imagine the dangers. Right? They're preaching in situations where there's a lot of danger. It's untold. The stories are quite amazing, quite inspiring. But they'll take on any danger because they're surrendered. Right? Preaching is an act of surrender. His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj was actually explaining it very nicely that how is this preacher most dear to Krishna? Because he or she is the most surrendered. Right? Maybe if I'm doing some cooking service, I'm in my element. I like cooking. Right? The kitchen's outfitted well, as long as it's like, safe gas supply or whatever else, I'm good. But if I'm going out there and there's untold danger and I can only be surrendered to the Lord, then naturally the Lord will be most protective over that person. Right? They're facing all these dangers, solely dependent on him. He has to come there, he has to help them. When someone is so dependent on him, he has to be there. So Maharaj was saying it's like the most dependent child. Right? It's not that he loves the cook any less. It's not that. A father doesn't love any of his children any less, right? But if there's an older kid who's like, got it sorted, he's not going to worry so much. But if it's a little child, right, who is in some danger, then he or she, the parent, is going to be very worried about that child. So this is the book distributor, the preacher, who's taking on those risks. The Lord is worried about those children. Right? They are very dear to him because of that. Okay. So this is book distribution and surrender. Okay. So our next discussion for today is Parikrama, because it's also an act of surrender. Right? I know that in everyone's minds, and you'd be completely forgiven for saying this, it seems like a holiday. You go away to a foreign place, Parikrama is not a holiday. Okay? It's one of the 5 potent forms of devotional service. Associating with and serving the devotees is one. Chanting the holy names, right? Reading, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, worshipping the deity form, and living in the holy place. Or at least what we can do is we can live in the holy place for a short time. Right? We can go on Parikrama. So it's one of those forms of devotional service that we are encouraged especially to do. Right? There's 64 items, but at least there's 5 that we should try and do. Parikrama is one of them. So it has that effect of really increasing one's faith in this process, because you feel the energy of being in a place where pastimes of the Lord actually took place, of seeing things that the Lord actually used, or of bathing in waters where the Lord bathed in, or being a witness to things that he would have seen, or of structures that he may have lived in, for example. Like all of these, they have an extraordinary effect on your faith and actually translating everything that we're learning into reality. As well as if you travel during holy times like Kartik that just passed, if you're in the holy, in the places of pilgrimage, there's a lot more benefits, right, for performing or observing these holy times in those places, as well as if you perform certain austerities there, like in Vrindavan is a place of austerities. Right? It's definitely not a place for a holiday, right? Because Vrindavan actually, Vrindavan is, right, the most dear appearance place as well as pastime place of the Lord, right? It's his home. And it's a place that Vrinda Devi, who we said is here with us today, Vrinda Devi is the goddess of Vrindavan, and she performed austerities there. And that's how Vrindavan was named after her. So Vrindavan is a place of austerity. So if you perform some austerity, and it doesn't have to be meditating out in the cold or on the banks of the river, right? It can be austerities like giving up something, some item of your diet that you really shouldn't be having anyway, or chanting more rounds, or taking a vow to listen more, right? It's a practical austerity. But those austerities also get you more benefit in the holy place. But the most important activity for anyone who goes on Parikrama is to hear. Because you can go to a place, and we've had this experience, you go to a place, but you don't know anything about it. Even if you've read about it, you can't really figure it out until somebody actually explains it to you. And then you're like, now I know what I'm seeing. Right? It's happened to us all many times. It's because you actually see through hearing. Right? This is what we are taught in spiritual life. You see by hearing. It's amazing the difference it can make. I swear to you, you can go and you can see something, and then someone can explain it to you, and then you see it, and then you're like, it's a whole other thing. So we must hear, on the practical side, we must hear from saintly people, because not only do they have the effect of helping us understand what the holy place is about, but they also have that purifying effect. Because eventually you're going on Parikrama to get purified. That's what it is. Everything in this world is about purification. It's a bit too bright, yeah. Everything is about purification, right? Those 5 items of devotional service, why are they potent? What's the potency in them? It's in how much they purify you. Because you can't get to that point of Gajendra without being purified of all of those past misdeeds. And we tend to get them in small doses. It may not seem very nice to think about, getting them all over and done with. But the power of these items of devotional service is that one can clear a lot of those sins with very little, we could say, suffering. Eventually to the point where you don't even feel the suffering. I hope that's making sense. Right? So in the material world, you could suffer for something, or you could suffer for a lot of your past misdeeds over a very protracted time, or you could engage in activities of devotional service, and they could just be cleared out with very, very minimal suffering, very minimal discomfort. But the purification is the important thing that is actually happening, because at the same time, through these activities of devotional service, we're also developing our love for Krishna. It's not just suffering. You're developing your love at the same time. So this is the power of these activities of devotional service. Otherwise, you could just go on suffering. That's also possible. But will you make progress towards getting to the spiritual world? That's a whole other thing. So eventually, both have to happen. We have to become purified of the material world, but we also have to become qualified to enter the spiritual world. Right? Does that make sense? So the activities of devotional service do both. They purify you of your sins, but they also qualify you to develop your relationship with Krishna, which liberates you. So your activities of Parikrama actually do that. They purify you, and there's different ways they purify you. Right? We can discuss it maybe later, but the important thing is that we make the effort wherever we go to hear, because hearing is so essential. We become purified through that process of hearing, and we also get the good qualities, like we said, of the devotees that we're hearing from, to develop our relationship with Krishna. So Sankirtan is also very important wherever we go, right, to chant the holy names. And also, it's probably the best way that we can give back for all the blessings that we've gotten for being in that holy place. What's the best way to give back? Right? We can always give some contribution, this is also nice. But giving out the holy name is actually, Srila Prabhupada explains in the Nectar of Instruction, that's actually the best charity. That's the best gift that you can give to anyway. So we always make an effort wherever we go to have Sankirtan, to chant the holy names. And there's the reminder, that it's not really a holiday. And the reason we say this is not to disappoint anyone, but because sometimes we may go there and we may expect that, it'll be a little bit like, maybe not exactly luxurious, but it'll be like a good time. But we're not, a pilgrimage, which is what Parikrama is, isn't comfortable. Right? We know this because all religious traditions have pilgrimages, and the pilgrimages always involve some kind of austerity. Right? Whether it's austerity in paying to get there, traveling around there, the accommodation there, right? We try though, wherever we travel, we try to have good facilities at least, so that it makes it easier, especially for us coming from a Western background, to adjust. But there'll always be some kind of adjustment that may not be so easy to make. And that's your austerity. That's how you're getting purified, right, of your sin. So if we take it like that and we don't get upset about it, then we'll make that benefit. Because ultimately it's about surrender. You're going there to give everything to Krishna and say, okay, whatever you want me to learn from this or benefit from this, I'm ready for it. Just like Gajendra. So, unfortunately, if it means you wake up and there's no hot water, you accept it as his blessing. Or you get charged like 10 times more by the rickshaw driver because of your accent, you accept it as his blessings, right? The important thing is that the purification is happening all the time within us. We're becoming more tolerant, we're becoming more devotional, we're becoming more spiritual by these small, it seems like small things, but eventually it adds up. You'll come away changed. You'll come away changed from the experience. That's what it's supposed to do. Right? Every activity of devotional service will help you up level. That's the point. We have to keep up leveling. Right? If we're not, then we have to sit and contemplate, what can I do to translate what I'm doing into some change within. Right? But the important thing, we keep up leveling. Right? Parikrama is there for that. Okay. So I think this may be the end of the slideshow. So we had some good fortune. We have some images and some videos from these holy places that the Lord opened the doors to. So we'll go to that now. I'm going to explain the significance of these places also. I'll try to do it quickly, right? So, how much time do we have left? Okay. I shouldn't ask you. Okay.
Today's Saturday night.
Maybe it's frozen. Just here with the file button at the bottom.
For now, just turn your laptop so they can see.
Maybe, yeah. So we'll just kind of like open it.
Just put on the top.
I don't know, I can't figure out why.
You can share it on the group as well.
Okay, so I must apologize, we're not able to open it on the thing. Is this image? Yeah. Is the image clear?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Don't you want me to Bible or something?
But don't you just turn the chair on?
Yeah.
What happened to the machine?
No, but
It's
that's
not
not
working
gonna be
for some
eyes
reason.
on it.
Yeah, we'll be behind of everybody. Can everyone see that?
Wait, let me bring you. I'll solve this.
Maybe on this table here. This
Let's
table.
leave it. Let's leave it to them. Yeah, I think it's about. Yeah, I can't get it to.
It's not
Do
showing
you know
for
how
some
to?
reason. Not sure.
Oh, yeah, I think you might need another one. You need another one.
Oh yes, it's really clear now.
Is it clear now?
Do you need another one or not?
Is that okay?
You can see.
Is it clear? So this.
Everyone, how are you?
So this image is actually of the universal form at the place in Kurukshetra where Lord Krishna showed that universal form to Arjuna, right? And this place is called Jyotisar. Tirtha. Jyotisar is actually where the Bhagavad Gita was spoken. Now this. Oh, okay. I was like, no, not this as well. Okay, so
Beautiful, eh?
yeah, very very beautiful image of. It's quite large image as well.
Is the new temple book, Mataji?
No, it's in the background of one of the
It's not
images.
complete yet. Did you
Oh,
see
it's on the chariot. It's on the chariot.
See? Yeah, so this is Krishna and Arjuna.
Did you take
on the
this
chariot.
photo?
Yeah. Some of them are very clear. Some of them have some tourists in there.
Ah, look at
Oh, yeah.
Right? So these are modern structures, but they're very beautiful structures. You know, to increase the consciousness of. Now this image, though the deities are not actually at that place where Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita. This is in the same area though. Kurukshetra is like how we'd say like a small town, and there's different holy places in that place. So Jyotisar is one part of Kurukshetra where the Bhagavad Gita was actually spoken, and then at another place we have a Brahma Sarovar, and Brahma Sarovar is we remember in Krishna's pastimes that during the solar eclipse, the people of Vrindavan went there to take a bath, right, with all the other people who came to the holy place to bath during the solar eclipse. So that's where Radha and Krishna met again after 100 years, right? We remember that pastime. So in that same, like we could say that complex of that holy river, we have some pictures there as well. They built this structure to commemorate the speaking of
And it's
Bhagavad
also where
Gita.
creation started on this planet.
Sorry.
It's also where creation started on this planet.
Yes, apparently, yeah, that's where it says that at that
Adam and
place.
Eve.
So also in Jyotisar is a lake that was created by Arjuna by shooting an arrow into the ground, right? To quench the thirst of Bhishma Dev. This is how warriors do it. If you're thirsty, you don't get a cup of water. Apparently Duryodhana was bringing a cup of water. Arjuna fired an arrow into the ground and he brought up water like that, and then that created this holy place. And actually, one of the Sri Prabhupada was actually making point that he said it's an interesting talent of Arjuna. Wherever he shoots an arrow into the ground, some holy water comes out. And so there's another place, Pandava Ganga, we'll see where
It's a
he did the
place
same
where
thing.
Bhagavad Gita was spoken.
So this is the actual tree, the banyan tree that witnessed the Bhagavad Gita being spoken.
How old is it?
So it's at least
Over
5,000
5,000.
because the Bhagavad
Over
Gita was
5,000.
spoken at 5,000.
And
So
it's
banyan
green
trees
and
grow like
fresh.
that. They drop roots down, and then the roots grow into another tree. So it's impossible to actually know where the original root of this, the original trunk of this tree is, because every time it dropped roots, then a new tree came up. So that's how it's like a whole. It may seem like a whole clump of trees, but it's actually one tree. So this is nice that the actual tree is still here, because many of the other trees, we only have branches or offshoots left. Now this is Ujjain. This is also a modern structure, but just for the sheer hugeness of it. This whole complex, it's massive, it stretches. You need a rickshaw to drive you from one end of it to the other. It's a temple, one temple, and it's built around. It's built around a Jyotirling. Okay, this is Lord Nrsimhadev. So we had this in order, and then we had to change it because of when we were uploading. So the whole, it's a long walkway along a stretch of water, and it's all these structures built up, bigger than life-size murtis, all commemorating pastimes of Lord Shiva, columns. It's quite extraordinary, and right at the center of it is a Jyotirling, one of the 12 principal forms of Lord Shiva, Shiva Linga. This is Ujjain. So Ujjain is the place where Krishna got his education, but this Jyotirling, in a lot of places, many pastimes took place. So this Jyotirling actually, it emphasizes Lord Shiva's aspect as time. It's called Mahakaleshwar, great time. Because Lord Shiva is the Lord's partial incarnation for destruction, right? So destruction is affected through time, because everything gets destroyed in time. So Lord Shiva as the destroyer, he exists here in this Jyotirling, in this Shiva Lingam, and they've built very impressive structure around him. Obviously you can't take pictures inside, but on the outside it's pretty amazing. So I'm going to go back to this form of Lord Nrsimhadev. He's an ancient form of the Lord in Vrindavan, actually. Not many people know about him there. He's actually holding the sun and the moon in his arms. It's a little hard to see here. And he's killing Hiranyakashipu, so it's quite a fierce form. And he's actually in the area of Keshigat. So we were lucky enough to find him, even though the locals were not really aware that he was there. And this is a form of, I actually also had to take this picture of the internet because we're not allowed to take pictures there. This is the largest form of Lord Chaitanya in Vrindavan, Amiya Gauranga. He is probably the size of Lord Chaitanya when he was on this planet, like 7 feet tall. And he's beautiful. He came from West Bengal, and now he presides in Vrindavan, Amiya Nimai. So this is the Jyotirling Mahakaleshwar. This is, now they've done it up, this was the actual area where Krishna's classroom was. It obviously didn't look like this 5,000 years ago, but in this area of that school in Ujjain, this is where Krishna had his
Beautiful
lessons.
school, eh? Wow.
The architecture these
Krishna
days.
school was
Wow.
It's like a university.
That's amazing.
So this is part of that Mahakaleshwar thing, very amazing, like there's buildings, there's everything. And this is the Jyotirling of Lord Shiva is actually in the main temple compound. It's like a whole city there, and it's just actually a temple. It's really extraordinary. Look at
wow.
these, yeah. And you can see the people at the bottom to have an idea of how big this murti is. And there's multiple, there's I don't know how many there were, like 40 more. At every few meters there's a massive, like,
What
you
is
know,
it made of?
Ujjain, Mahakaleshwar temple.
that make
Not
of?
all the temples are
Cement.
It's
marble.
carved out of
This
it's
entire,
carved.
all I know
Details
is that
It's
all
carved out
of,
of solid
Yeah.
granite stone. The details are amazing. How they do it is amazing.
because this whole building, this whole structure was
Proportion
made
and
from,
details
these days they're making it as much as possible
without
from
damaging
the,
without damaging
They're making it from the marble.
stone.
because the marble will survive. The concrete deteriorates very
Yeah, it
fast
will,
in India,
yeah.
very fast.
Granite.
So this is yours truly at a sacred river
Like a
called the
stone.
Narmada River. This is a very, very beautiful place because above here is a very high hilltop, and this is another Jyotirling who lives here named Omkareshwar. So because my brother's name is Omkar, we pay our respects to Omkareshwar, the Lord of Omkar. And at the bottom runs the Narmada River. So usually what we do is we offer our obeisances, like how when we bow down here to the river, and then we offer, it's like how you offer the air belongs to the Lord, but you offer it back to Him in the form of chanting His name. So when you offer your respects to the river, you offer the water back to the river. You have no better offering to make than that anyway. And then you can take a dip in the water. So this is at another important place there in Ujjain. This is now called the Shakti Peeth. So like you have the temples of Lord Shiva, you have temples of his consort, Durga Devi. Now the Shakti Peeths are places where when there's a long pastime, but basically her body, parts of her body fell at different places when she gave up that body. And here I think her Arshiri is where her
But
hair fell.
she was enormous, and the parts fell
When-
and became stone.
Well, wherever they fell, they formed a holy place. It's called the Shakti Peeth. So there's 51 as far as I remember. So I think
there's two.
I must double check where, this is in Ujjain as well, but I must double check what fell here. In Vrindavan, her hair fell. I didn't know that. We went to the Shakti Peeth. So at this, believe it or not, this is not a column of Christmas lights. These are oil lamps or bee lamps. Somebody climbs,
Climbs all the way
he
up.
climbs all and he lights all the place.
No,
Until
that's devotional service.
That is service, yeah. This was a special night. This was
lights.
this was Vijay Dashmi, right? The day of victory.
Bungee jumping.
So no, it wasn't. It was Ashtami. It was Durga Ashtami. So it was quite wonderful to see it, but it meant that she got pushed a lot and she wasn't very pleased. Right? Because people were so eager to have darshan that night. This reminded me of our play, which is why I took a picture of it. This was in Natal. They were commemorating Vijay Dashmi when Lord Ram won the war. So this is for Sean. This is we can see if our gear measures up to theirs. They put on a very lovely parade. They had drum majorettes. The majorettes are really good. I've got a video on my phone for anyone who wants to see. Quite an Indian drum majorettes, yeah. They did a whole. They started the procession, and then they had horses. They didn't have elephants though, and they had a whole. This was a horse-drawn thing. And Lord Ram's parents were there, and then Lord Ram and Lakshman and their charioteer and stuff. It was quite nice, yeah. Just walking in Nathwar.
I
You
know
also
that
can't
name.
Make it up from behind as well.
A lot of these places actually, like, around the temples, they kind of just look like your markets or your, they look like central town. Like the one that I was just laughing, it was like, it looks like Prince Edward Street. But it actually does. Just to give you the feel of like the place and stuff, they're always selling lots of things. You may be a bit surprised, but we often hear it's like the covering of the place. There is a spiritual environment underneath it, but all we're seeing is the commercialism of it. But that will happen, and it's Kali Yuga, so it's inevitable. And this is the very famous Pushkar Sarovar, but I didn't get a better picture, I must admit. That's because the lady in the picture was hassling me to take a bath there. Pushkar Sarovar is an ancient place of pilgrimage. This is also this is the only place in creation where Lord Brahma is worshipped. He's the head of our sampradaya, so we really wanted to go there. So I actually got a chance to take a dip in that. It's ancient. Pushkar is ancient. It's the history behind Pushkar is that Lord Brahma wanted to do a sacrifice to Lord Vishnu at the beginning of time, and his wife was late. Something everyone can identify with. So now the auspicious time was passing, so he needed a wife to sit next to him to do the rituals. So the demigod had to think of something quick. So they found a local cowherd girl, and they had to make her be reborn in order to take the role of a Brahmin, basically, right? To sit with a Brahmin for a thing. So what else is on the level of a Brahmin but a cow? So they pulled her through a cow, basically. They gave her birth through a cow, right? These things are possible for God. So she gets a new birth, now she's Gayatri, right? We've heard of Gayatri Devi, this is how she appeared. So now she took her place next to her husband.
She's upstairs.
She is in the,
Right next to the Brahma.
and then Savitri, his wife, came and she wasn't very pleased. So that's when she cursed Brahma. You will never be worshipped anywhere in this universe besides him. So this is the only Brahma temple. So we had darshan, but again we can't
So he
take our
already
pictures.
had a wife.
Savitri or Saraswati.
What's his wife? So why
But she
did
was
he
late
take,
because she was late, and a wife needed to be present to do the rituals of the
but then
yajna
she comes back.
after it was done, and then she came after the time. They sent Narada Muni was sent to call her, but she still wasn't on time. So then, so she curses him, and then she goes off in a huff to stay at the top of a hill, and they've actually built a cable car there, so you can go to the top and have a darshan. It's beautiful. There's a video here somewhere, so we'll show you the video of maybe I can try and I'll come to it because I'm going to disturb the flow of if there's a flow. Okay, so this is now Ayodhya. This is This is the cave where Bharat lived when he was administering the kingdom on behalf of Lord Ram. So it wasn't enough for him to just live in exile like outside of the city. He also lived in a cave. So you can see it's like the stairs going to
So
the
it goes
bottom.
down underground.
It goes down and there's a murti of him there to commemorate that. Because when Lord Ram left and Bharat was left to run the kingdom, he didn't feel right to do that. So he lived like a hermit as well, but he also lived underground. This is in Pushkar. This is an ancient temple of Lord Varaha. Some of the architecture in these places was gorgeous.
It looks ancient.
They wouldn't let me take a picture of the deity.
I mean, that
Yeah.
sounds like
Yeah,
That is
it is.
built on
yeah.
Vastu science.
Yeah.
There's no concrete, there's no
Yeah,
cement.
just one.
It's
one
all
piece.
dug.
One piece.
maybe dug out
it's,
from a
it's
stone.
all
It's a bit
carved.
like Petra.
Yes, carved.
What? So it's a temple?
Yeah, the Lord, if you go
There's no,
around,
there's no bricks and concrete.
Have you
The-
seen that?
But I know
that
when I look at the structure, I can.
Yeah,
Is it?
I know.
and most of them are carved from a single stone.
Wow, what a
Actually,
holiday. I mean, pilgrimage.
Akshardham
Exactly, like, you know, when you find, and a
Did
lot
you go
of-
on a pilgrimage? Is that what you did?
That's what it was. And that's a lot of it.
Ah.
If you, like these days, what we have to do is we have to do a lot of research.
Okay.
Nobody told us what we would find here. We went
Yeah.
online and we figured it out, and then we would like try and get guides in that area who knew. And if they didn't know, just GPS and me. So the guys are just tolerating me because I'm like, turn left here. Go right. There should be a temple here. Like that Nrsimhadev temple in Vrindavan. The guy had no clue where he was going, and the other rickshaw drivers also didn't know.
Ah.
And I'm like taking him this way because the GPS is saying this, and the GPS, you see, the problem with the GPS is, the samadhi or something is there. And the GPS doesn't know that for me to get there, I have to go there. He thinks that there's another way to get there, or there should be another way to get there. So it may actually be taking me to another building, because in India there may be a building in the way it's done. So it takes a little bit of patience, but if you get like, you know, the right kind of guys to take you around, you'll be okay. So this temple, for example, was not on our thing list, but I heard that Lord Varahadev was there, and we were like, we want to go see him. So he allowed us to
But
have
Solid stone.
I think people still worshipping in that mandir.
yeah,
Okay.
nicely. But you see, the sad part about it is that these places are getting forgotten.
Either
There's
that
no
or they
point.
used.
So when we go there, we try to
slabs
give like
and
little
they
extra
carved
donations
slabs.
to those
Because
places.
you
and
Placed it. No.
Googled and researched, you
No
went
that's how I
concrete,
know.
no
But otherwise, a
steel.
lot of people don't
Yeah.
know.
No concrete, no
So that's
steel.
why we're like, you know,
Granite.
when we go there, it's kind of like our little mission as well, to
Akshardham,
find the places
is
and help
built
other
like that.
people
No concrete,
find it
no
as well.
steel.
So this place is
based on
where the
ancient Vastu technology.
where the actual yagya happened, although now you can see it's been built up a bit, but this is where the yagya was done for Lord Dasarath to get Ram and Lakshman, and you know where they say that that being came out with that sweet rice. This is in Ayodhya. This is
before
this
they
is
were
that-
born.
Yeah, this is that.
Oh,
good.
where the Havan
Yeah.
took place.
And at this place, there's murtis of them, but this is the place where they actually left this world from. Where they are looking out on is the Sarayu River,
Yes, yes.
and that's actually the place where the Lord left, and all his people went with him. They don't allow you to take out pictures in many places for good reason. They're worried about terrorist threats a lot of the time, or they have something in their Sala Purana that the deity may go away or something, so like you have to be patient. So this is Ayodhya skyline. It's very beautiful. It's being built up. So the
Is
Sarayu
that
River is
big
running.
temple is coming up there.
Yeah, so that's now on the other side. This is actually leading you to the Sarayu. It's like a little, they make it like a little waterfront there. So the
Okay.
river is running here. And these guys were singing so beautifully, you know, I have to, I must play it for you. Like, it was just so lovely. It was in the evening, and they have their aarti for the river, and the guys were sitting and singing there. Some young guys, but like such beautiful voices. So like the temple is going to be built by next year, so they're doing up the whole place. They're neatening up this whole area. So the whole river is like running over here again, like a little waterfront, and like like you know, like a small, like a channel, and then the river itself runs here.
Is that the
So now
temple
they already started to
Janmabhoomi.
prepare for the
funded
building.
Everywhere.
by Henry Ford's grandson?
No, that's
That's-
Henry
that's-
Ford is our Mayapur
What
temple.
Yeah,
river is that?
That's Ram Janmabhoomi.
Okay.
Yeah,
These temples are the
What
ancient
river is that?
temples from
Sarayu.
Sarah?
Sarayu, yeah,
But
Sarayu.
Mataji, the
It's actually the
preparations-
Yamuna of Ram's pastimes.
the preparations for the mandir has it begun?
Up and running. They have a small way. We went and had darshan in a small part of it where there's like a little structure there, but the other temple, it's going. They're like not wasting time.
Amazing,
They're
huh?
even going to build an airport there to facilitate people
Oh, amazing.
coming to Ayodhya. This is the Sarayu River.
Okay, quite.
It's nothing like, guys,
It's look
the
like
rivers in India, I took out one video.
Broad.
It's not like, Prabhu, it's not like the Angin. It looks like the ocean.
Looks
All
like
these
the
rivers,
ocean.
Yamuna,
Exactly.
Ganga, Sarayu, wherever
All
you
of
go, it looks like the ocean.
But that may be because the recent monsoons as
In
well.
the
No, no, no,
Ganga-
they
in
always-
the Ganga River as
they're
well, you
always
get
huge.
huge boats.
Mother, you
They're
can't,
wide,
you
they're
can't,
wide.
you can't, a lot of the times you can't even cross
Because I
from
know
one
at
end
one
to the
time it
other.
was dry,
Look, I can't
but
say
now
from,
it's actually.
all of the rivers are always full. So this is in Vrindavan. This is the place where you can bathe in the dust of Vrindavan, because that's another type of bath. So there's very soft sands here. So you do like
So can you get the
there's
dust?
an art of rolling.
Yeah, that's
Right,
Raman Rachi,
um,
where the cows actually
yeah.
made the
Can you get the
sand.
dust from there?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've
No, we
got
brought
some.
some. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. I didn't bring that one today, but we have some at home for you. This is Lord Varaha Dev at Varaha Ghat. He is giving us blessings. This is our first day of Parikrama, because actually they say that your Parikrama, your pilgrimage in Vrindavan, actually in Mathura starts with him at Vishram Ghat, but he's present also in Vrindavan, because Krishna showed his form as Varaha Dev to the gopis there. So this place commemorates that. When we say ghat, we mean it's a place where like you got like a long river bank, okay? And a ghat is where they have made steps for you to go down, or at least there's a way for you to go down there. It may be a formal or an informal way, but it's a way to go down. So wherever they made that way, it has a name.
Okay.
So all the ghats were in Varanasi. It looks like one long set of entrances to the river, but each place has its own name because something happened there. So there'll be like 84 along that whole thing. So Varaha Ghat used to be, it's a place where Lord Krishna appeared on the bank of the Yamuna River. But even though like there may be another set of steps next to it, it has its own name because of its own pastimes that happened there. This is also in Ayodhya. This is called Surya Kund. They do something pretty amazing. They built this whole place up very beautifully. So what happens in the Kund, they've created a light show without any props from the actual, she's also got a video on her phone. And that light show explains the pastimes. Like I think it uses holograms because there's nothing but there. It's just a lake basically. But yeah, so they're doing all of this so that Ayodhya is like more tourist. This is in Vrindavan. This is in Jaipur. This is called Kanak Vrindavan because this was built up to look like Vrindavan because the deities had to come there when the Mughals were terrorizing them in Vrindavan. So when they came to Jaipur to get shelter, the king built up a place to look like Vrindavan with gardens and everything.
That's
So
usually
deities,
Radha?
Radha Madhav live here now, yeah, in Jaipur. But at this place, at Kanak Vrindavan, because Govindaji was living here and then he moved to the town. So now here, Radha Madhav live. They're the deities
Radha Govinda is
are in a
also-
different place, but it was meant for them. Then they wanted to move. They came in a dream and they told the king, we want to stay where you are. So he was building a palace for himself, they moved there. That's where they're currently staying. So different set of deities live here now. This is the stairs to Krishna's father's house in Vrindavan. Again, it's a modern structure, but none down, yeah. So at the top you can, if you go up these stairs, you will see the deities that preside there, and you can see the view of the whole of Vrindavan around there. And this is the lake at the bottom where Krishna's family used to bathe, right? There was no baths that day. In those times, they used to bathe in lakes. This is called Pavan Sarovar. It's very beautiful. And this is Radharani's palace, also at the top of a hill. So the hill that
Krishna looked after her well.
so where Krishna's palace, where his father's palace was, Shiva incarnated as that hill because he wanted the dust of those special people to go on his head. Radharani, Brahma has formed the hill that her palace is on the top of, and Vishnu is of course the hill of Giriraj. Right? So the three controllers have come to Vrindavan. So this is the sacred Radha Kund. This is a little temple where Lord Chaitanya used to sit at Radha Kund. This is the most sacred place in the universe, and we've got some water for everybody to take some.
So what place is it?
Radha Kund, but it's a different angle of looking at.
Radha and Shyama.
Yeah. So there's Radha Kund in the background.
center.
Lord Chaitanya used to sit here, and he used to do his chanting on the banks of Radha Kund. So they built up a little temple around it. Because remember, this was just like you could imagine a forested area with a lake. Now they've had to build temples so that these places are not lost to us, and they're preserved. This is at Govardhan Hill. It's a retreat center that was built up by spiritual masters from ISKCON, and they built a little Govardhan He's very cute. And then they have like residences and stuff where devotees can stay. So it's nice because we didn't have
Is
a
that the
place at
palace?
Govardhan. No, it's the retreat center.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's not just the palace now. ISKCON also has the retreat center
They got Shri Krishna Balaram, isn't it?
in the palace.
Yeah.
Here, this is, as far as I know, only Giriraj isn't an actual temple hall. There's a Kirtan hall, he has Prasadam hall and all the residences.
Okay.
And right across the road is Giriraj at this, the actual hill Govardhan.
His Holiness Parthasati Maharaj stays right next door to Govardhan.
Yeah. So this one is opposite.
Mm.
This lake is at the bottom of the hill of Varshana. This is Radharani's lake, Pulipokar. Somebody's getting blessings from there. This is Radha Govindaji in Jaipur. They moved to the king's palace, and this is where the king used to reign from. After they moved from that garden that we just saw. And this is Radha Gopinath. They also came from Vrindavan to live in Jaipur. And there's two other deities that came to Jaipur, Radha Vinod and Radha Damodar. I didn't get such good pictures. This is a Samadhis area, 64 Samadhis, very sacred place. All our spiritual masters are actually, we could say, entombed here. Because their bodies are sacred, so they're not cremated. Radha Madhav at the Kanak Vrindavan gardens. The deities are at where we said Krishna's father's palace is. These are the deities of Krishna and Balaram and their mother, their father and their mother. Lord Chaitanya found these deities. This is actually Srila Prabhupada's disappearance day celebration. It's an idea of how it's done in Vrindavan, the place where Srila Prabhupada disappeared. So they were having class by a lot of Srila Prabhupada's disciples, and then Srila Prabhupada is there in the middle. They did an abhishek, and then they did aarti to him. Another sacred lake. This one is where Krishna rested after the forest fire. This is where Brahma shed tears after stealing the cows and the calves. And also what's interesting about this lake is that Narada Muni and Shiva were both dipped into this lake to get their female forms for the rasa dance. So guys, be careful.
Gopishwara Shiva. So that's Gopishwara Shiva. That's how I got
Yeah,
it.
they both of them were dipped here by Vrinda Devi. There's a little plaque there that explains what Brahma Kund is.
That one before.
Yeah, it was. I know they were dipped somewhere, but I always thought it was Krishna Sarovar, but it says that it was actually here. Yashoda Kund, where Yashoda used to take her morning bath. This is part of Gopashtami when Krishna. Okay, that's me dressed as a cowherd boy and Yamuna. That's quite funny. They do such. I know. I had to show you guys. They do such beauty. This is just petals. But I mean, like, it's so beautiful. You always see it with powders, but this is
flowers.
And they just
flowers.
take it. They're so good at it. They just take it and
neat
Just
and
throw it,
precise.
yeah, it comes out right.
Precise. It's beautiful. This is the Vrindavan Research Institute. They had a little cultural. They had a cultural
We can't even
program.
come here. Saw me
We
there.
were invited.
Beautiful.
Too many places.
Everywhere. All over the shore. There I am. Yeah, there you are.
This is Vrinda Kund. This is the place.
We've been
where-
seeing this lady all along. She's been in all the photos. This
You know
lady.
why? Do you know
what
why?
happened to me there?
Because
My Guru Maharaj took his bead bag and he hit me 3 times on his head.
Yeah,
Because I
he-
told him I'm going to Krishna Balaram to do service. He hit me 3 times on my head with his bead bag.
because he
Okay.
was thinking it was one way of like. I'm joking. The reason why she's in all the pictures is because the person who takes out pictures of her takes out nice pictures. Okay. The pictures of me are like,
Yeah, you always
or
the
like
one.
my head is cut off. Oh yeah, I'm like, never mind. I'm joking.
Where's all your selfies?
I only have. I'm not shy about those. I only put one because I was dressed as a cowherd boy. I didn't do the others. So Vrinda Devi lives at this place called Vrinda Kund, and this is a very sacred place. And this is one of those. I just like the way the tulsi was growing here, but this is one of the places, Pandav Ganga, where Arjuna again shot an arrow and he brought the Ganges. There's a very beautiful garden all around here, and everyone was sitting and listening to the lecture there. This is Sham Dhak, where Krishna and Balaram used to come with the cowherd boys, and this is at Govardhan Hill. This is behind Vrinda Kund, the Gupta Kund. Radha and Krishna meet here 3 times. One of the 3 places they meet every day in Vrindavan. It's said that Krishna wiped his hand after he was eating on this stone, on this Giriraj Shila. And this is another sacred. This is Kishori Kund. When Radharani got married, then she used to bathe at this kund in Yavans. So the other kunt I showed you was where she grew up. This is when she was married and she had to live with her in-laws.
Hey, I know the space check.
Terke down by Krishna and Balaram have.
You get the best sweet
Kamaches
rice
bus.
here.
It was very nice sweet rice, and you get that Babaji who's very animated. And
Yes.
he does his little pastimes. So these trees
That's
are
Krishna.
ancient,
Mm.
and from the time of the Lord, and it commemorates Krishna and Balaram. Don't you just love their winter outfits?
Mm.
It's crochet.
Cute, huh?
Where's the Babaji with the long beard?
Yeah, he was there in full force.
Didn't give you a scolding.
He did. He had to do his thing. Rupa Goswami had his bhajan kutir here, or his place of bhajan, and Radharani brought him groceries here. Again, that's the tree. So we come to the end of this. Okay. So I don't want to keep it. There's a video of this. Where should I find it? At the top. Okay. So these, most of them are a bit short, but
She's just waiting for Kai to say that. You've got lots more to go.
no, it's very little.
Yeah, just
but I'm
about-
actually waiting for them to set up the sadam. Whenever
Just
they're
about
ready
12
to start,
hours more.
they can start. They can actually start serving in the meantime.
You can't
But
get
we
it
can,
concise, when you're there. It's so,
Yeah, it's very hard to.
How long were you there?
Almost 7 weeks.
Yo.
It was a long time. We did it.
Where did
quite
you
a bit of time.
stay?
If it's not showing, I'll show
All
you.
over?
All over. All over. It's probably not gonna play. We started off from Delhi, we went to Kurukshetra, and then from Kurukshetra we came back to Delhi, and we stayed overnight in Kurukshetra. We flew from Delhi to Indore, then we had another hour to go to get to Ujjain. From Ujjain we did some traveling around there, and then
But Ujjain is a beautiful place.
it's very beautiful.
Bhakti Swami
Oh,
put his
this
blood,
is so
sweat,
hard
and
to be.
tears.
So this is just like kind of showing
There's
the hills
5 altars. I've never
around
seen a temple with
Radharani's.
5
altars.
5. You seeing it there?
There's 4 heads of Brahma,
Only
so there's
time?
4 hills.
Krishna,
And you're
Balaram?
kind of walking in a valley of those hills. So Brahma is actually in the form
Radha and
of
Krishna?
these hills.
No, Sita Ram Lakshmana, Hanuman,
Um,
Radha and Krishna.
I tried to take out
I've never seen Jagannath
decent
deity like
videos,
this.
but
Prabhu
my
like
camera's
this
not
on
the
floor.
best.
Jagannath.
And I didn't want to actually invest in anything
I'm telling you,
because
he
I
made
drop
blood,
everything and
sweat,
break
tears
it.
in that place. I really admire.
Well, those are the
it.
only
It's a
videos I
beautiful
could.
place.
I must.
I come back, you look
Actually-
very radiant, I must say.
Yeah, she actually looks better than me.
Lot
Okay, now
of,
this is actually Srila Prabhupada's room. Look at how the devotees
In the end, I was
decorate
tired.
this room
I was just saying
Yeah.
this.
for
Where
his
you looking
disappearance
like?
day. We
Look
didn't
like
take
you
this
can make
video,
another
but
show.
look at that.
Wow.
That's flowers, guys.
I
Prabhupada's
can't believe
bed.
it. I walked over there.
Prabhupada's bed when he
Was
left
that
it.
his real bed?
But they decorated it like that with flowers only.
I don't know what happened this year. I
They are
just
so
started walking
talented.
and
We
I
met
just
these
finished.
devotees. They are beyond amazing. All that's only flower
And I
decor.
chanted.
Everything,
Is that the bed he passed away on?
everything in Vrindavan
Did
is
you
done
see
with
it?
flowers.
The bed.
We walked in
So
because
you-
his house is like a
you
museum. You see
probably-
all of
Really?
these. Yeah, you
Too
can come and
long.
have
It's too
darshan
long.
of all of this. Everything is in glass cases, and all the items that as much of the items that he used are all preserved there for everybody. Yeah. So it's a very special place. Yeah, when he was in Vrindavan. Look, his shoes. Just look at that. Flowers only, guys.
Wow.
Flowers only. Yeah,
The first
and
time I
that's,
went to
we actually
Vrindavan.
were on the outside that day because we did service and we were a bit late and they wouldn't let us in, and I was so upset. And I was like, just to do service, so it made me feel
Do you
better.
need
but
a
we-
visa to go to Vrindavan?
No, to go to India you need a visa, but not to Vrindavan.
So if
once
I
you-
go from here to Vrindavan,
Or the
I
India
don't
visa.
need a visa.
you need a visa to get to India. Vrindavan's in India.
Oh, right.
So this is Vrindavan rural.
No, but I don't have to go straight there.
So it's
What's
mostly
growing there? What's
It's like a
mostly
pancake.
mustard. Mustard herbs. My mother just loves it, but she's like, she's got no pot or spices to cook.
Mustard leaf.
Yeah, it's mostly mustard that we saw. Even in Mayapur, it was mustard. And there's another one that shows
But
like.
food's bad.
Oh, bad.
Which mean?
It's not according to her taste. That's what she means.
Serious?
You
It's
get
not
lovely
according-
vegetables.
This is
from-
the
but they
other
don't
side
know
of
how
it.
to
Like
cook. You can go make
some of the
We can't
houses
get
in
the
Vrindavan are
spices.
like
What we
built up.
get here, we can't
Some
get
of them
it.
are like
Serious?
that broken
And
down.
then that's what we
Some of them are
That's
like huts. like you'll see on the other side. This is going very fast because we're in the car. And there's cow dung. There's piles of cow dung. They're still using cow dung as fuel. And that's the fields before they cultivated. And the other
Where
ones
you
are fields
taking
when
now,
they
coach?
green.
You can't
So that's
say.
pretty much
Where you
like
stay, there's
what
no
you
place
see
to
everywhere
go. You're
now.
gonna carry
More cow
yourself.
dung.
They only got a bathroom, toilet, and a
Piles.
room.
That's their fuel. And they were stocking up quite a bit now because it
All
was
of them would have lined
coming
up.
into winter.
Lined up,
We were so fortunate. We were so
distribution.
fortunate through another devotee that came to South Africa from Mumbai.
Yeah.
He got us involved in the Deity Kitchen Krishna.
This
program.
is-
We baked for 4 weeks for the
This
Lord.
is an Armada river. Now see how big it is, and this is not even as big as the Ganga. So that's where I was offering my respects, and this is the hill at the top, where that Shiva
We
Lingam
baked for
is.
the Lord's breakfast.
So the only way
Oh,
you
you're on
can
a
get
boat
there,
there?
yeah, the only way you
It's
can
a
get
very
there
divine
is by
service
boat.
there.
Clean there.
Yeah. They don't need
This
to
place in
kitchen.
particular is very clean because it's not very inhabited.
Oh,
The other
okay,
waters
yeah.
may seem a little more thing, but that's only our external eye. These are holy waters, so they're never actually contaminated.
You know, this
But
is like the
one much
harbor.
cleaner.
It's not a river, it's like the harbor.
But
Look
this
at
is their
the-
kind of harbor.
Yeah.
So you see, we're going across because you can't get there without yeah.
It's so calm, man.
It is very calm. But when you're swimming, you have to be careful. You can't just swim there.
Crocodiles.
You have to, well, because of the current. The current is still strong.
Undercurrent,
even
yeah,
though-
yeah.
So if you die in Vrindavan, what do they do with you? Do they burn your body also?
Right there. Right there, and then you go.
Throw
You
you.
go straight. Guide
Straight. There's no question where you're going. But that's why it's not easy.
They
Many
burn
devotees
you
will
there
tell-
on the,
Yeah.
there's no graveyards or anything. No.
The Samadhi area I showed you is where the most holy, like the sannyas, I was like, yeah, those were, yeah. Where the saints, their bodies are pure, so they don't get cremated. Your body is cremated because your soul needs to get rid of the attachment. So that is, that Samadhi area is where their body, so that you could call it graveyard technically, but it's a holy place. Right, that's Samadhi, and they have the instructions, you don't walk over them accidentally. But otherwise, there's no
Do
such
you
thing
watch
as
it?
favor.
Do you see it?
That happening.
Yeah.
If someone passes away, you can, but we don't.
No, sweets.
We don't. We don't tend
sweets
to.
are
Oh,
eaten.
this is.
Dried fruit,
This is
yeah.
Krishna. Where Krishna and Balaram, when they were stuck in the storm, they climbed up these trees because there's so much of water. So one tree Krishna climbed up, and one tree Sudama climbed up.
I met her mother and father.
So these trees are also ancient. They look very tangled because they're banyan trees. But they're about 5,000, more than 5,000 years old. So they have a little temple there to commemorate where this happened. And then
Yeah, it's okay.
I actually, they were collecting wood, so we went to that place where the trees where they collect wood, and I actually got a stick from there. And then because of something Karuna did, I lost my stick.
I mean, you didn't hit on the head with it 3 times.
Well, that's how she probably, arranged I lose my stick, so I couldn't do that. But I'm so disappointed. That was one of the 5. The guy told us that the 5 Krishna and his friends used to collect like 5 types of wood from there. So I got one of those sticks. So, yeah, and then I lost it in the. Then the taxi
Risha
driver.
arranged for you to leave your
I left
stick.
it behind in the taxi, and the taxi driver threw it out. She told me leave it, don't walk around with it. He threw it out. I was like, no! I'm so upset. And then he told me he'll give me another one, but then he must have forgotten.
What did he throw out?
My stick, Krishna's wood that he used to collect. So this place is on the Ujjain where Lord Nrsimhadev came to rest after he killed Hiranyakashipu. It's a bit of a transcendental effort for him. And there's a very nice, it's a river. So it's called Nrsimhadev Ghat, and the same like we're explaining, these steps are named after Nrsimhadev, but later down the river there's Ram Ghat because Lord Ram came there. So these steps are dedicated to Lord Nrsimhadev. So we took a bath over here. Well, I took a bath over here.
What is it
So
on
peaceful.
sand?
There's not a lot of sand. A lot of the rivers,
there-
there's not a lot. See, there's a little bit, but not too much.
Yeah,
In
yeah,
other
yeah.
places, there's tons of sand.
Yeah.
So it just depends.
They dig it down a few meters.
They go quite far down. Because then you actually, like how you get in if you're like me and you can't swim but you
I
take
want to pray
chances,
to those
is you
people
keep
signing
feeling
blood in
it.
Vrindavan.
Yeah.
Don't
So-
remove it yet.
They won't. For your sake, I promise they won't.
Do a couple of laps.
So I keep feeling the steps until I get to like a comfortable step, and then I kind of like sit there.
Yeah,
and then
because all that
I
sand
can't
under your
swim.
toes.
I can't swim. So I take chances when I go there. I won't do it here at the beach, but I
So
take
these
chances.
cats are quite like ancient.
I can teach him.
Yeah, some of them are very ancient. No, all of them are ancient, but they've been done up. some of them have been done up like this, so they look now.
Sorry, Mataji, if you learn to swim, I can teach you.
You know, I
know
learned
what?
to swim. My sister just threw me
I
in the
would-
pool. Swim.
I will take you up on that offer when I have some time, because I'm serious. Like, you know, I feel bad because I got to take other people into the water in India, and most people think I can swim, but I'm like, you know, like, I can't actually. This is Brahma Sarovar Prabhu, where you were saying the creation took place in Kurukshetra. So look at how huge. This is a lake, but look at what it looks like. It's huge, and this is only one side of it. There's a temple here, and then there's a bridge
Did you
across
see the?
to the temple.
Did you see the artwork on the walls?
But there's another. You'll see it just as you, I only got a little bit of it. Because, you know, I don't want to be awkward as people also taking bath. I don't want to like film them, you know what I mean? So I take like a little bit. See, there's artwork everywhere commemorating the Lord's
Got
pastimes.
that somewhere. Oh,
Yeah, there's pastimes at each. They've done these things, these places are very nice. Our comfortable driver. And then you can eat a little bit of it. It's dusk, but if you're brave, you can. I eat a little bit of it. It's like Chandan. One of the devotees told us that you get like you get transcendental knowledge if you have a little bit.
Okay,
Little
then I'll
bit,
eat
not too
some.
much.
Okay, I'll
Take a
eat
little
some
bit,
then.
take a little bit.
I suppose you
Okay,
can smell
so
it.
there is a lot more videos. I will try and send some on the group because we just selected a few. I will tell you one where the
Also, we
guys are
eat the
singing.
whole bottle.
So you can pay your respects and pray to go to Vrindavan, and we promise that next year we'll try and help as many devotees as possible to go there.
Yeah,
So if
I
I
agree.
have to do so in the holidays, I know December is more easier, then I will stick around in Vrindavan because I go during Kartik, which is October, November.
Yeah,
It's
that's the
around
best
for
time to
everybody.
go.
That's the best time to go.
Yeah, so if everybody
Don't go,
wants
if
to
you
go
go in
there,
any other time, there's no mercy.
then you can.
The dead
and we will,
Come help me pray.
Yeah, it is. It's prasad. It's prasad. They're selling it.
So now look before it's more reasonable, right? It's like to give it a chance to you get about like 5,000.
Yes, you will.
Also, we eat that. What must I eat?
This is the dirt that